Hello and welcome to this video. Today we are going to take a look at the beta version of World Creator 2. World Creator is a landscape generator. This is the standalone version. There's also another version for Unity. This version is standalone, but you can or will be able to export landscapes to other third-party software such as Vue or Erosion for use in these programs. It also has features that can be used standalone. This is what we will see today. For those of you who had used GeoControl or World Creator 1, you will see that lots of changes have been made by the team of developers. The program is still not completely finalized. There are still things that need to be ironed out and some functions that do not work, and the team is listening to user inputs to make further modifications, which is quite good. This is an open beta, so you can take part of it, but you need to purchase the World Creator 2 version in order to be able to take part in it, and you will have World Creator 1 if you purchase World Creator 2. So let's see what it can do, and first create a new project. We will erase this one, which I already used as a demo. And this is the welcome screen, the first default terrain that is displayed. As you can see, you can navigate all the scenes quite smoothly, rotate the view, zoom in with the central mouse button, or pan. Currently the terrain is based on the 2K resolution map. It's generated automatically. If you want to increase the level of detail, you can do so by pushing it to 4K map with the same terrain, or even an 8K map. As you could see, the number of small details has increased. If you reduce it, you will see clearly the difference. There's also another option from this screen, is adjust the terrain size. We will adjust it to a 4K map. What this does is that it extends the original terrain to include all what you would include in a 4K by doubling its size. The terrain is generated programmatically, but you can change the appearance of the terrain by changing the seed, which you can see here. We are at seed 0, and you can change it by clicking here, while still keeping a type of terrain that is the same, roughly the same for everyone. You can further adjust the terrain by using a custom base shape. To do so, click here and then modify the shape. This is one of the new functions of this version of World Creator. If you pull these squares or push them, you will change the height of the terrain. So this way you can create valleys or higher mountains at the places where you want them to be. This is quite interesting, and this is a way to achieve the actual look you want from the terrain. If you undo, you can see what the base terrain looks like by unchecking this and then this. Here are what the changes we have done. I will do a couple of changes more. Once you have enabled the custom base shape, the changes you have carried out will be retained even if you change the seed. You see, we still have the same base shape based on the custom base shape, but everything else changes. Once you have this terrain, you can modify it further by using the filters. Filters will be familiar to those who have used World Creator 1 or GeoControl. The main difference here is that they are generated on the fly in real time. In GeoControl it took several minutes to calculate a filter, especially the erosion ones. Let's add a layer. On a layer you can add several filters. I will name this one shape, and then add the first filter, for instance ridged. Ridged gives you mountains that look like young mountains, like the Alps, with several ridges, hence its name. With those filters you can adjust the parameters, the strength, here, count, and you can limit the effect of the filter to some part of the terrain. Here we will keep it on the whole terrain, but we will add another filter, mountain one. So you can see that some of the descriptions for the filters and some of the thumbnails are not active. It is still in beta. The mountain filter has been applied. It is very strong. You can see what the filter effects are by checking or unchecking the filter. You can also change the order of the filters, everything in real time. Right now I would like this filter to apply only to the lowest part of the terrain and keep the top with the ridged filter, so I will limit the 1/8 of the filter effects. You can see it only affects this part and the bottom. I will add a smooth transition to this limit and maybe limit the bottom one too. Well, no, I will add yet another filter to handle the bottom and smooth it a bit. Let's add it now. This is the smooth filter. As you can see, it is very strong and irons out most of the details, so we will limit its range to the bottom of the terrain. Maybe even 70. So now the filter only applies to the bottom of the terrain. You see its effect. And I will limit also its strength. And again smooth the transition with the rest. This looks quite nice, but we need a bit of erosion in order to get something more realistic. To add erosion we will add another layer and name it erosion. Let's add erosion with sediments. And you see that it has changed a lot, added lots of details here. See the before and after effects. I will limit the erosion, but and I will not allow it to affect the bottom layer. Let us limit the range to 50 maybe, and well, for the rest of it looks nice. You can also change some parameters for the erosion, and also maybe change the smoothness of the transition here. So now we have our terrain almost finished. What we will do is find a nice spot zoom in and proceed to a next step, that is adding textures. This is done with this tab, and the process is the same. You add different layers of textures to the terrain. In World Creator 2, these are bitmap textures, as we will see. So the first one will be ground, for the general ground, and we will add the first bitmap texture in the brown texture. Let's add rocky mud, this one. As you can see, it covers the whole terrain. You can see it's a bitmap because if you zoom in, you see that it tiles. You cannot really avoid this even by changing the tile size, but you can limit the visibility of the tiles by adding several textures and have them overlap. So let's duplicate this first texture and add a second one. I will add a very contrasting one in order for you to see the limits of the overlap. Currently, if we select the second texture, it covers the first one entirely. What we will do in order to limit its appearance is to add some surface noise. Here it is. The second texture only applies to some part of the terrain. The noise can be adjusted and made a bit larger, smaller. With more details or not. You can also change the weight of the second map by doing this. I will replace this second map by another one more suitable for this terrain. That looks a bit more like the first one. You can see that we still have some tiling effect here, but it has almost disappeared on the mountains. The tiling here is very visible, but we will handle this by covering this with grass, which we will see a bit later. Right now we will add another layer and call it rocks and use it for the mountains. So let's add the first rock textures for the mountains. Where is it? Probably near the end. Here it is. So if we click here, we see again that the texture is covering the whole terrain. Let's change the tile size and apply it only to the rocky part of the mountains. So we'll change the 8th range to something like 200, and we'll adjust it manually to see the limit move. A bit less, 50. 75. Okay, we'll add a noise on the limit between the two textures so that it looks a bit more natural, and also limit it with the slope. We need this material to appear only on slope material. This way it looks way better. And we'll add a 8th noise Where is it? Here it is. This will add some noise into the limit where the terrain appears. This looks already quite good, but I will add a second texture here to handle the new surface to handle the erosion areas. A new layer called Erosion. And an erosion texture. We will first select a very contrasted texture, again that covers all, to see where the erosion applies. The erosion applies only on certain parts which are concave. So the erosion will only appear on these parts. We can adjust this the way it appears, reducing it, limiting the step size, which gives smaller areas, and adjusting the strength. Once this is done, let us switch to a more adapted texture for the erosion. You can see it here, and I will mix it within another one. And there is another one which is quite adapted, groundswell gravel. As you can see, the smaller one completely overlaps the first one, so we'll add surface noise, change it to a green one to better visualize it, and change the size of the noise. And go back to the first one. So now we have erosion only in the logical spaces. Maybe we can reduce a little the appearance of the erosion, especially on the back mountains, and maybe we can remove it a bit on sloped areas. This is better. Now we have something a bit more convincing, except for one of the ground textures, this one, which looks very tiled. We will handle this, as I said, by adding grass. This is one of the things that is completely new to this program. You can add grass, rocks, and other objects. Grass appears in the details as well as in the objects, but in the details you can add a whole layer of grass. Let's add it. And boom, everything is covered in grass except this part. This is because the grass only appears to a certain view distance. If we change this to 3000, it appears everywhere, on flat areas only. There's a filter already included that only puts grass on the slope range from 0 to 20 degrees. If you zoom in closely, you can see that the grass is moving in the wind. This green grass is not really realistic for this terrain. We will change it. You can change the tint of the grass to match a bit more the tint of the terrain underneath, which makes it more realistic. Also, we will add a few rocks which are in the objects section. Add a layer, rocks, and add a few brown or gray rocks, not the brown ones. You can see that there are also trees, but let's add rocks first. First rock. I'm not sure it did appear. Some of the rocks don't seem to appear on the map whatever you do, so let's change it for one I'm sure that works. This one works. The distribution of rocks is a bit random at the moment, but it will probably be improved later on. We will add a bit more density and duplicate this rock to add another one shaped differently. Do it a second time. So now we have rocks scattered here and there. Let's proceed and add a layer for trees. Then we'll add a few trees. Let's start with a dead tree, which I found quite nice. Maybe we have a bit too many trees there. We'll reduce the occurrence. Make sure the object distance is correct, but it's not really a problem because the trees will only appear in the valley. And maybe use a surface noise to have trees in certain areas only. Then we will duplicate this and add a second type of trees in the mix, not dead ones, but live ones, live green trees. Then duplicate and add a third type of trees, smaller ones. You can adjust the rotation of the plants. You can also maximum rotation here. You can also adjust the size. Here you can see that there is little variation between the smallest and the largest plant. We can introduce more variation, for instance on the mid-sized trees. Let's go from 7 to 1.5, and you can see that the trees are now very different from one another in terms of size. I will see the terrain for a bit higher. Now the last touch will come from the atmosphere. The World Creator 2 has a nice set of atmospheric and sky options. First one being the realistic mode. I did not start it before because it is a bit slower to display, but here it is. As you can see, you've got clouds. They are moving in the wind. If you look back, you've got the sun, which is quite low. Let's move the sun in order to have it in this direction, for instance. Here it is. It comes into view and you get some nice sun rays. Maybe greater offset. Let's set this, still set this to 0. Sun intensity. Well, it was quite nice already. The last thing I want to do before trying to make a capture of this is changing the options, graphics, and add some anti-aliasing. As you can see, it smoothes the whole details. It is still workable. You can still move in the scene, but it looks definitely looks better. The whole scene and the whole functions are calculated via the GPU. I have a GeForce 970, which is not top of the line, but it does the job, as you could see. I think it could be even more smooth with a more powerful video board and with adding some details to the terrain. The good thing with this program is that everything can be reversed. If we go back to the surface, we can still change this and everything will follow. You can see the shape of the mountains changing. As I have some custom based shape, it does not change that much, but it still changes, and whole terrain, trees included, is following. So here is the program that is currently being proposed. Coming next are some details such as paths to get roads and rivers, area definition, which currently works but does not allow painting. I did not get it to work, and probably some import and export options that will enable to work in other programs such as Vue or TerraGen. Now I hope this has been useful and has showed you the current development state of this program and the possibilities. I will certainly continue trying it as the beta comes along, and probably make a second video when it is more advanced. This is all for now, and see you in the next tutorial.